never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today's video is actually something that somebody asked me to do, and I will get to that coming up here momentarily. But before I get to that, let me first say that I figured out yesterday what the SEC means when they say it just means more. So I'm going to tell you what their definition of it just means more is. I'll get to that coming up here in a couple of minutes. But first, let's talk about Colorado for a minute. My question is, what is going on at Colorado? And why is Deion Sanders not being investigated? Because just because you tell somebody you're going to do something doesn't make it right. And what I mean by that is, if you wake up one morning and you're supposed to go to whatever your actual job is, if you say, you know what, I just don't want to go to work today, well, your job is going to penalize you for not coming to work. Just because you came out and said that you didn't want to go to work doesn't make it right to just lay out of work. If you tell somebody, I'm going to stab you, and then you go and stab them, you're still in the wrong. It's not okay to stab them just because you said you were going to do it. If you think back to when Deion Sanders got the job at Colorado, he came out and said that the majority of the players there were not good enough to play at Colorado. And now they've had, I believe, 65 players out of 85 from last year's team who are transferring. And unless there's been a rule change, I thought that once somebody got a scholarship to play whatever sport it is at a collegiate program, you couldn't make that player leave. If they were on scholarship, they were on scholarship. It was up to them to decide whether or not they wanted to leave. But for them to have this many players transfer this quickly, he has to be telling these players they have to go. And I thought that was supposed to be wrong. So either that rule's changed, or nobody is saying anything just because it's Deion Sanders and they think Deion Sanders can get by with whatever he wants to get by with. And sorry, I'm calling him Deion Sanders. I'm not calling him Coach Prime. That's stupid. I'm going to call him what his mama named him, and that is Deion Sanders. But I want to know why nobody is looking into it. But I think he's backing himself into a corner with this whole situation now, because if you're such a great coach, why can't you go out and make these players better? You think about Tennessee for a minute. Look how pitiful they were when Jeremy Pruitt was the coach. Josh Heupel took over and took almost the entire same exact team in 1 year from being flat out pitiful to being a winning bowl season football team. And Josh Heupel, for the most part, had the same players and made them better. Now, Colorado was flat out pitiful last year. There's no denying that. But if Deion Sanders is supposed to be the coach he says he is, why can't he take some of these players that were so dreadful and make them better? He's not even trying. So he might want you on his team, but he's showing pretty quickly that if you don't produce, he doesn't want you. So now you're going to have new recruits thinking, you know what, I'm not going to Colorado because if I have one bad season, Deion is going to run me off. I just don't know why, since it's Deion Sanders, nobody cares. But I told somebody at work yesterday that anybody that thinks Deion Sanders is going to be Colorado's coach for more than 5 years is crazy. Because if he sucks, of course, they're going to fire him. But no coach has a long-term plan of being at Colorado. So if he goes there and he wins and he's successful, he'll leave within 4 years to go find a head coaching job at a better program than Colorado. So win or lose, he's not going to be there more than 4 or 5 years. But I don't know why he can say stuff and do stuff that's supposed to be wrong and nobody says anything because it's Deion Sanders. Why is he so special? And before I tell you what the SEC means when they say it just means more, let me give you what I was asked to do earlier this week. Now, granted, I was asked to do this on Monday, so I compiled this list on Monday, but I waited till Thursday because I'd already decided what my Tuesday video was going to be about. And of course, Wednesday is top 10 countdown. And this is not what I would do. This is what I think will happen. And this is my projection of what I think the top 10 draft picks will be tonight in the first round of the NFL draft. Number 1, I believe the Panthers are going to draft Bryce Young. Number 2, the Houston Texans will go after Will Anderson Jr. Number 3, the Arizona Cardinals, Tyree Wilson. Number 4, the Indiana Colts are going to get Will Levis, or as he has grown to get the nickname Mayonnaise. Number 5, the Seattle Seahawks, Jalen Carter. Number 6, the Detroit Lions, C.J. Stroud. Number 7, the Raiders, Anthony Richardson. Number 8, the Falcons, Christian Gonzalez. Number 9, the Bears, Peter Skoronski. And number 10, the Eagles, Lucas Van Ness. Now, of course, tomorrow we'll be recapping what does happen in night 1 of the NFL draft. And again, that was my projections of what I think will happen, not what I would do, because the only 2 names inside this top 10 that I would go with is Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. That's it. So if I was picking, I would get one of those two. Bryce Young is a phenomenal quarterback. There's no denying that. But the only thing that would hold some teams back is his size. Not to say he can't get bigger, because he can, but some people just have a problem putting on weight. What if Bryce Young tries to put on weight, but he can't? If he can't put on weight, he won't last 5 years. He's just too small. But talent-wise, he's definitely there. And I think C.J. Stroud is a phenomenal quarterback. Anthony Richardson, I'm sorry. You didn't play long enough. I'm not going to draft you just because you're fun to watch, just because you can throw the ball a long ways. There's more to being a quarterback than that. And Mayonnaise or Will Levis, people are high on him because he's big, he's tall. There's more to being a quarterback than being tall, and I just think Will Levis is going to be a complete, total flop. If the Colts do draft him, hopefully I'm wrong for their sake, because they haven't had a quarterback since Andrew Luck retired, but I don't think Mayonnaise is the answer. And Jalen Carter undoubtedly is a phenomenal athlete, but he's already been in all sorts of trouble. Granted, we're talking about Georgia. Any high school player that ever comes out of high school that wants to go to college and stay in trouble, they're going to go to Georgia. This has been going on at Georgia since Jim Donnan was the head coach, so it's nothing new. Not to say he's going to keep doing that, but how do we know? Some players get out of college and they straighten up, and some get out of college and it continues. So how do you know? You don't. You're taking a chance either way. You just hope that it stops. But that is my opinion of what I think the top 10 draft picks will be tonight. And I found out what the SEC means when they say it just means more. What they mean is it means more to them for you to have fun. So they're going to make sure, or try to make sure, that you do not have fun. And what I mean by that, in case you have not heard, the SEC is the only conference in college football that is trying their best to outlaw fans storming the field. Any other conference, you can do it, not a big deal. At Clemson, as a matter of fact, they conduct themselves in an orderly fashion, and win, lose, or draw, no matter who they play, their fans are allowed to storm the field after every single game. Nothing bad ever happens. Why? Because they've got sense. But in the SEC, they are trying their best to prevent the fans from storming the field. Why? Because they don't want you to have fun. So they're trying to make sure you don't have fun. Now, what they're claiming is they're trying to consider having a new rule that if the fans storm the field, your team, whoever it is that you just stormed the field for, they're either going to forfeit the game they just played, or they might consider giving you a 1-year bowl ban to try to prevent your fans from storming the field. Now, is that stupid? Absolutely. Is that ridiculous? Absolutely. Is this going to happen? Probably not. But Greg Sankey is an absolute idiot for even considering passing any of these rules. Because the problem is, when you have a team you pull for, whoever that team is, if they're playing at home and they just pull off a big upset, the first thing that crosses your mind is storm the field. You're not going to say, oh, wait, let's go run the field. Oh, wait, never mind. I forget. If we storm the field, our team's going to get penalized for it. That doesn't cross your mind. If you're excited your team just won, you're going to storm the field. But there are some times where it just shouldn't happen. Like when LSU beats Alabama in football, I'm sorry, LSU just won a national title a few years back. They have no business storming the field because you beat Alabama. You're just as good as they are, if not better than they are. Why are you so excited about it? You shouldn't do it. There's no sense in it. But sometimes it's going to happen, like a few years back when Vanderbilt beat Georgia or when Vanderbilt beat Tennessee. If you're a bottom of the barrel team and you're playing at home and you pull off an upset over a top 10 team, top 5 team, top 15 team, your fans should be allowed to storm the field. They've got a reason to be excited. But if you're a top 5 or top 10 team and you beat somebody that's not as good as you are, why are you storming the field? What are you excited about? So there are certain times where it shouldn't happen, but if it's going to happen, there ain't no fan in the world that's going to stop before they storm the field and say, well, shouldn't do that. Team get penalized for it. That's the last thing that crosses your mind. You run, you storm the field, and then later on you're like, oh man, I just cost my team a bowl game, or I just cost my team that game, because they're thinking about making you forfeit the game you just won. Now, like I said, I don't think any of this is going to happen, but it's pitiful that they're even considering this. Just let the fans storm the field. I know bad things happen on occasion, but that's the fans' fault for being idiots during that time. But you can't penalize 105,000 fans, or ever how big your stadium is, because you've got 10 idiots. There's no sense in that. Just those 10 idiots are going to find a way to get hurt because they're 10 idiots. So in the SEC, when they say it just means more, they mean it. It just means more when you have fun. So we're going to make sure you don't have fun. And we are going to put a stop to you having fun. We're going to police you having fun because we don't want to see you having fun or being happy. We don't play that. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Where do boats go when they get sick? The boat dock. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.